uh, I would like to introduce myself first. I'm Anuja Kumar, an associate professor from IICD, Jaipur. And today we are here to welcome our eminent personality on our Varta session, which we have every month. So today we have Digvijay Singh. And so Digvijay is a creative person. He is a designer, an artist, a creative imaginator. He's done his bachelor's from MSU Baroda and his post-graduation from NID Ahmedabad. And today we are here to understand and to actually see his journey from the roots which he started and how it came out to be a beautiful journey. And today he's here in a very amazing, amazing personality, a celebrity, and still working towards something that's more successful. So I would like to welcome you, Digvijay, and thanks for joining
Thank
us
you
here.
so much.
And first of all, when we're starting, I would like to understand, you said the roots, as our topic is, from the roots to the fruits. So would you like to start from the roots? Where were your roots actually, and from where your journey started?
Yeah, so basically, you said that I should have some kind of a heading to this the whole conversation, and I suggested that let it be roots and then move on to the fruits. So basically, it's all about my journey, and it's not about my journey itself. It's about a journey of a creative person, how it starts, and it's sometimes it's just a matter of chance. From one place to another, you travel, and then you see places and you experience a lot of things. So my journey is also like that. See, I hail from the hills, from a town of Nainital in Uttarakhand, and that's where
Yeah.
my journey started. I was surrounded by nature,
Wow.
and I think that's the point where it actually began. That I was so close to nature. I was so close to all these things that I started observing. And I think for any creative person, it is very important to observe and then absorb a lot of things from wherever you are and in your journey. So that's how I also
Yeah.
started. And from the very beginning, from school times, I was more of a person who was in his own dreamland, in a surreal world. So
Yes.
I started drawing at a very early age. I started creating a lot of things. I started writing, maybe just lines. I wouldn't say just poetry or anything, but I just likes to write whatever used to come to my mind. And
Okay.
this is how it all started. And this was the beginning of it.
Amazing. So actually, from the school time, you used to do the whole thing. I think we all have the children within us, and somewhere we are children like today also as designers. But you took a very different path wherein you started exploring life in a very different form as being an artist, as a creative person. So how did you actually start expressing your feeling or the art, I would say?
See, Anuja,
Like,
one thing I believe in that every person, all of us are creative. It's just that some of us, they have the ability to churn that creativity from within themselves. And some of us
right,
are lucky enough to be successful in it. So
right.
it is a matter of chance that all creative people don't get so lucky sometimes. And I wouldn't say that all creative people only. Everyone on planet Earth is creative. Every human being is creative. And when I say
That's
human
true.
being, that's the difference between a human being and animal. The only difference.
True.
Animal can also do a lot of things what humans too can do, but creativity is something which only humans have the ability to do. So you have to find that creativity from within yourself. And
That's very true.
sometimes, yeah, you are lucky. So I did that, I think, and I moved on. And then things do also have to be in your favor to do that sometimes. So when you move out, and I moved out of this little town, it's a village. Where I come from is a small little town with nothing around me. And those times it was very difficult also. So I somehow moved out and I went to Baroda to pursue my graduation in fine arts, and I graduated from there and spent 4 years there. And from there, I moved on to NID. But there are so many things which happened in those 4 years in my graduation, and then later on, NID also happened. So it was a creative journey which was rather fruitful. That's why I would say that, from roots to fruits.
Yeah, amazing. I would say also that, that environment and talking to a lot of people around you gave you a lot of inspiration to explore these inner expressions of yours in different forms. And I remember you not only exploring this in terms of just one type of material, but you have explored it in many different ways and techniques, and in fact, everything as far as I know. I've always seen you exploring, beauty, art, luxury, everything in a very passionate manner. So, how did you actually find inspiration
I
from
feel
very
that,
simple?
yeah, I feel that we human beings, we have very little time on planet Earth here, so make the best out of it. So I don't believe in wasting time. So I think
So,
if a creative person has the ability to do any creative work, it's not because I have just graduated from fine arts, so I should just paint all my life, or I've done
so,
textiles, or I've done fashion, or so I should do just stick to that. If someone tells me to make a film, I think I can do a better job than most of the filmmakers who are down there. Or it goes to just any of you, any creative people. If we are asked to write a story, an essay, I think we can do a better job. So you should have the ability in yourself here, the confidence in you. And mind you, when I started, I had zero confidence in my life. I was not used to crowd. I wasn't used to talking to people. I was a very shy
hmm,
personality. But I think
right.
confidence comes with experience and time.
Do you think
See,
so?
you don't have to believe this hard work. You have to just move on. Whatever you have to live for today. That whatever you're doing presently
Absolutely.
is fruitful first for you and then for the others. So whatever you're doing, you do for yourself, not because what will people think, what will I do, will I earn from it, will I won't make a name out of it. That's all humbug.
Hmm.
If you are happy from inside, I think you can prosper.
So, when you were exploring these things, as far as we know that you have also explored in your college time itself, you were exploring like, painting and then painting into a different material on, digital printing on fabric. I think that was later on, digital printing on fabrics and all that,
Correct. So
or it was
basically,
the
all it
filmmaking itself
started with
before.
me. Why did I choose to go to MD? Painting is also a very important question. So I'll come to that. Yeah. So basically, a very important reason for me joining NID when I was enjoying doing painting at Fine Arts MSU. Why did I have to join
Yeah,
NID? Was a very big question. The number one
yeah,
question is definitely when you tell yourself that sometimes it's very difficult to make a career out of just being an artist. So everyone who's
hmm,
doing fine arts tomorrow, you have to do something in life is a big, big question, because just painting on a canvas and doing watercolors won't give you a life which we
bread
always
and
think
butter.
of doing. When I was in my fourth year of fine arts, and I started exploring a lot of fabric and textile to being in fine arts, it's very difficult to actually keep buying all that expensive art material sometimes. And how much of watercolor on paper
True.
can you do? You want to explore and move on further to experimentations. And that's how I started. And I had a friend in Baroda, and my classmate, and her mother used to have like a block printing unit. So once I visited that, and on the table I saw this most amazing fabric. So wherever you do that block
Wow.
printing, there is a fabric which is laid on the table. And that over
Yeah,
time, that fabric becomes beautiful with all those different kind of khadi printing and the pigment printings and everything.
yeah,
So you have like a combination of different kind of layering of paints on that fabric. It's a plain muslin fabric. Mother part jo hota hai.
yeah.
But
True.
it somehow fascinated me, and I thought, why not I take this fabric and I start enhancing certain areas, and that's how it started to happen to me. And I
Wow.
asked her to give me that fabric. It was over like a good 30, 40 meters of fabric, which was going waste for them. I took that
Right.
fabric, and certain areas for me became very, very interesting, and I used to take certain areas from that fabric and I used to enhance them with my own paint. And that's how I moved on into the second level, where I started understanding that how fabrics and textiles and yarns, they actually, play a very important role only in your, not only in your imagination, it enhances you somewhere
True.
in your brain to, explore something new. And I started exploring different kind of fabrics then, using different kind of slubby fabric, clay fabric. And that's how I thought, an idea was a good option for me to explore even further. So that's how I,
Okay.
moved
That's
on.
amazing.
And that's the reason I wanted to put an idea to explore even more.
Yeah, and then NID gave you a different platform to understand the technical aspects of it and all that. But then you joined in textile design, and then you ended up becoming one of the great fashion designers and went into the ramp shows. Whereas you did not have an education of fashion design as such. So was that a limitation in any manner? Do you think so?
We always have limitations no matter what we do, no matter what we
Right.
pursue. There were limitations in certain things when I joined fine arts, because in
True.
fine arts we had to do mural, sculpture, pottery, everything. I had no clue about it. It was just an optional subject. But certain things are so fascinating, and you should have confidence that if you really want to do it, you have to work. I used to sit overnight in the mural lab, in my pottery classes, and within a week, if you could lift like a 9-inch pot from that wheel, was an achievement, and not all could do it.
Mm.
So basically, you should be at it, And even when I moved on to NID, unfortunately, what happened was that I had thought of a lot of things, that after fine arts, moving on to design and NID, I will still be continuing my art, the process. But somehow there was so much of workload, as that it was very difficult to
Yeah.
actually cope up. But then I did not leave.
Yes.
Even
Right.
in my tenure NID, I used to keep painting. And if you remember, even in my juries, I used to put up my paintings sometimes,
Painting.
and the faculty very happy sometimes. But it's okay.
Yes, I remember.
My, because it doesn't feel together, but not for me. I always wanted to bridge that gap between art and design. And that's exactly what I'm doing today after all these years. After 15 years, I am looking at bridging that gap and getting art and design together. That's a major difference. Art is which you do for yourself, and design you have to think of others. But at the same time, can you actually combine the two, where you are doing something which probably makes your mind and heart happy also, and then at the same time you're giving something to the others as well. So a lot of projects started
Absolutely.
then, in NID itself. So I think
Yeah.
I was in my third semester when the Lakme Fashion Week happened, and before that, I had gone there to see,
Okay.
and I filled up the form, and I got chosen in the Gen X category there. And by the time we finished NID, I'd finished 2 fashion weeks there. So I think I did
Wow.
not think too much about how to go about it, and this can be done and this cannot be done. I just went with the flow. And things
Okay.
happen. Things
Mm.
happen. You got to be lucky. When I say lucky, you have to be in the right place at the right time. And that is also very
Okay.
important. Be in the right time,
Yeah.
the right space.
Yeah.
So
While you were doing all this, I remember you exploring film as a medium of exploring yourself. You did acting, you did, I think, voice play and all that also. During that time itself, you started exploring that?
yes. So basically in NID, again a new journey started for me. So it was not only textiles which I was studying there. I was spending most of the time with most of my batchmates who were in
Hmm.
apparel, or who were in film and video, or who were in ceramics or animation. And one thing I always wanted to do from the very beginning is that whatever I liked doing, I wanted to be a part of it. If I thought, oh, there'll be a day when I can act in a movie. So I can't just think about that there'll be a day. I wanted to do it, and that became my target. That one
Right.
day I want to be in Fashion Week, that became my target. One day I want to do a film, that became my target. One day I want to write a script, that became a target. One day I want to
True.
write a book, became a target. So all these things, I think my targets helped me to achieve whatever I wanted to. So I think in
Interesting.
my tenure at NIT, I did about 9 to 10 student films, not only
Wow.
in acting, but I helped them also in production design to a lot of things. And of course, acting was one thing which I always wanted to do. So my journey started there as well as an actor because I did 9 student films, one after the other. And later on, I was so overwhelmed with this whole aspect of acting, that I
Yeah.
wanted to do a feature film. I wanted to do an actual film. So in
True.
2018, I actually did a full feature film,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, the journey started long back in 2013, 14 when I started doing costumes for films and I started designing in terms of uh, working with a lot of actors, styling them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how my career also started and helped me there. Because after a number of fashion weeks, I started to understand this industry of costume design, of styling. And I think, as you said, it was definitely tough for me to understand fashion initially because I was very fresh when I got into the fashion week and I knew nothing about, forget about fashion, forget about uh, anything. I did not have a clue, even of designing,
Mm-hmm.
because, I was very raw. And just with time and
Right.
experience, when 5 years passed, 10 years passed, 15 years passed, I think you tend to understand a lot of things by observing, by looking at it, by reading it. And that's very important thing. Anything you want to learn, if you don't follow, if you don't read, you will not understand. Anuja, there's one
Right.
thing, all my students also ask me sometimes in art and everything, is
Yeah.
that, with art, what is painting? We look at art and we look at painting, we don't understand it. So the one
Mm-hmm.
thing I always tell them is that art is something which you don't need to understand. You need to follow. And
True.
that's with
Very true.
everything. If
Very
you
true.
follow it, you will learn it. So that's
Very
it's
true.
it's a very simple logic. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Digvijay, would you have some work to show so that we can, whatever your journey is, so is it possible if we can see some work, if you can just share your work? Of course, we've seen your work on the social media, the photographs and the paintings and everything, but as your journey is progressing, it will be very interesting to see the journey visually.
Sure. Just give me a minute.
Yeah.
So I'll start with fashion and how it all started. So 2006-7, I was selected in Gen X, and then I showcased my first collection at Lakme Fashion Week, and my
Okay.
second collection at Bangalore Fashion Week, and then back the next season with Lakme, and then it moved on to for me doing about around 7, 8 fashion weeks there. Uh, and then after doing a number of fashion weeks, I think in 2015, I wanted to experiment more with things, because
Mm-hmm.
for me, fashion was just not about clothing. It was beyond that, and I always wanted to uh, do something with not only fashion,
Okay.
but fashion
Okay.
and art and all these things, So it was
Right.
it was important, for me to actually keep experimenting with a lot of things with art and fashion and putting them together. So fashion weeks were something, yeah. Again, all my inspirations and everything came from, again, nature, So
Mm-hmm.
my look boards, everything, they looked uh, very, very close to nature. I got inspired by botanical forms, abstract
That was
botanicals.
from your roots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and even my paintings, even my artworks were all about
Mm-hmm.
botanical drawings and art. And all the botanical art and drawings and inspirations also came from the jungles which I used to actually visit. So basically,
Oh,
right now,
interesting.
also, I am sitting in a place called Pangot, which
Okay.
is which is a bird's reserve, and it's in the middle of a forest. It's in the heart of the
Wow.
Himalayas. Yeah. So,
Wow.
and the temperature outside is right now 15 degrees here. I'm sure it's very hot there wherever you guys are. But for me right now, I'm sitting in 50 degrees.
Yes, we like right now I am in IICD in Jaipur, which is like the hottest, one of the hottest places in Rajasthan.
I'm sure we've been to Gujarat and of course Rajasthan. So all
Yeah,
these places are definitely another level for me here for the past one and a
you'll
half
find a
years.
different
What?
you'll find a different color inspiration and form inspiration here rather
Yeah.
than
So
having it
basically,
from this.
I venture out into the jungles almost every day here, and
Wow,
I see new things, new inspirations. And I
amazing.
think my latest project is to do like a fashion show. It's not a fashion show, but something for the forest, for the jungle, with the whole theme of the forest, jungle, and the new creations for me, which I see every day there. Maybe a silent show where there is the background score is of nature, of the forest,
Mm,
and do like an
interesting.
installation, walking installation. So that's what the whole idea of Dilda White was. So I'll slowly come to the whole concept of Dilda White also which I started in 2015.
Yeah. So this
Yeah, that was
blacksmith fashion, if you can see the photos also here, this white one, and also these are your blacksmith fashion from where you started, right?
exactly. So this is where I started, and this specific collection was somewhere I
Yeah.
think 2010, and it was termed Tilakadi Laga, and it was
Okay.
basically certain flowers and botanical forms which are found in the forest and which are going extinct, basically.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, so
So how
basically
did
it's
you
all
get
forms. I wanted to get inspired by that.
interesting? So how did you get the inspiration of these silhouettes? It is very much not really very feminine, I would say, but it's a mix of
Yes.
you can
So
say it's a
basically,
unisex.
in most of my forms, I forgot about the fact if the clothing was for a man or for a woman. It was always unisex for me. It was
Okay,
clothing is
interesting.
something which I get inspired directly
Mm-hmm.
from my board. Who wears it? It doesn't matter to me. These are
Mm-hmm.
silhouettes. Some of the silhouettes
Right.
definitely look feminine, some are masculine, and specifically
Mm.
in this, they definitely look that it is for women. But
Yeah.
most of the other works of mine are unisex, which a lot
Yeah.
of people shrugs and jackets and trousers, everything which is inspired directly without
Does
the
it
notion.
also does it also reflect your view about having women as a very important part of our society, and it's all equal, which we have like in our society status
I,
and
I,
everything.
I
Do you
see
think so?
humans as humans, I've always seen humans as humans, not as males and females and whatever's, I mean, we are
Very
just human
interesting.
beings who come on planet Earth to do something for ourselves, for the society, for others, and to spread happiness, creativity, art, design, everything, whatever is inside it, just churn it out. That was
I
always
think
what I wanted to do.
the the best part is about the openness which you have in exploring anything and everything without any limitations and foundations. I think
Yeah,
that's
I
just
don't have any
amazing.
limitations, no matter what it is. There are
Right.
certain things which probably are objectionable in my work, which probably I cannot show openly or do
Okay.
openly. And that was one reason which actually started me doing this whole Dilda White project, which was an anti art and anti fashion movement, I would say. And I'm happy to
So
say that being an artist and a designer, why would I say an
yeah.
anti-art, anti-fashion movement? Because there are certain
True.
things that are taboo to the society. But for an
Hmm.
individual, as a human being, why is it a taboo to us, to our thinking,
True.
to our mind? It shouldn't be. So one should be
True.
open-minded, show creativity in whatever fair visuals or anything or written matter or whatever you can do. So, but yeah,
So water.
sometimes not possible.
No, of course it is. The society is changing. Everything is changing. I'm sure it will also happen. So these watercolor paintings that you have and you're showing, this is very much of your Dilda White collection, right?
These
Is it
are
like that?
So some of these watercolors which I'm showing here is, I'm a
Yeah.
very confusing person here, Anuja. So it is very difficult to understand sometimes which what work, because I do about 5, 6 works in a day. So I write also. I do
Wow.
a dilda also. I do illustrations also. I do designing also, and I do cooking also, and I do a lot of things. So sometimes
Amazing.
I never get confused. Believe me, but people
Yeah.
do get. These drawings mostly are from this brand of mine, which I started in 2014-15, along with my wife,
Okay.
who's a graphic designer from NID again. So both of us
Yeah.
started this brand called BBG Royals. So in
Okay.
BBG Royals, we make clothing which is basically botanical and animal forms. So basically, we do clothing for the
Okay.
royalties of India. That's our specific client.
Wow.
So yeah, so these illustrations are hand done and then transferred into digitally onto fabric, where we do a lot of saris, clothing, yardage. This is my studio basically, where I'm sitting right
Yeah.
now.
Where you're
Pictures.
sitting right now. Amazing colors. Amazing
So this
expression.
is my workplace, which is inspiration for me sometimes. So
Wow.
these are botanical abstracts, which I go into the jungle. When I come back, I open my canvas and I start painting. Yeah, and some
Wow.
of the colors are in my head, some of the colors which I see, and I think it's all about colors.
Yeah.
So sometimes which I are the paintings which I use in some of my fashion work also. Like for example,
Okay.
these watercolors, I now yeah, being an
Yeah.
artist, let me come back to that. That
Yeah.
professionally, I do paintings also professionally as commission works. So these are all
Okay.
commissioned works by people where I do
Okay.
just anything sometimes. So someone's
Oh,
asked me to
interesting.
do marketplace in watercolors.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one, there's another market. So this is like a
Okay.
calendar someone asked me to do. There's another
Yeah.
marketplace in this folder itself. Uh,
This one.
yeah, if yeah this one. So these are
Yeah.
all
This
commissioned
one.
work.
But I really love the way you explore colors. I think it is there around you, so that is why it is coming into your expressions also. And the way the texture, the color merging, and everything, it's such a organic way of doing things.
Even if I'm doing a realistic painting in watercolors, sometimes there are certain colors or certain variations which are in my head or in any artist's heads, and those
Mm-hmm.
things are actually seen. If 10 people, that's why they say, no, if 10 people are painting the same thing, the
Hmm.
same landscape or the same object painting, all of their works look different. Why? Because they
Hmm.
put in their own theories in there, their own hidden instincts about color theories, about everything, which turns out to be a
Hmm.
little different. So yeah, these certain colors which I use, yeah,
Yeah.
I think
So, what about this? How come from those very interesting colors you came up to?
I'm coming to this work now. So I also do a lot of books. So I do a
Okay.
lot of graphic novels. I write a lot of graphic novels. I write a lot of books, fiction, and
Wow.
so basically this is from a book of mine called the Book of Flies. So I've done
Oh.
a book of flies, and then there is another image where it's from the book of bananas. Yeah, the banana painting. So book of flies, book
This
of
one.
bananas, book of hideous. So these are certain books which I have done. So book of flies is something which I wanted to write something one day, and I was sitting in my studio, and I
Okay.
thought, what should I write about? And I had to decide
Wow.
there and then, what should I write the book about? So the one
Very
thing
interesting.
which I noticed was that the only thing which was stopping me from writing was these flies, which was really bugging me. They were irritating me. I thought, let's write about the flies. Yeah. So I wrote a whole book about flies. So I researched for
Amazing.
over about flies. I read everything about flies. I started doing a lot of illustrations about flies. I started writing my own fiction short stories about flies. And then I compiled it together and I made this book called The Book of Flies. And the same thing happened
Amazing.
with the Book of Bananas. Book of Bananas is
Okay.
also very interesting. Yeah. So banana, why? Because banana is one fruit. Well, I researched and I understood that banana is not a fruit, it's a berry, by the way. So
Oh,
this berry or the fruit, banana, I have never tasted
huh.
in my life. I've never eaten for some reason.
Really?
So about 10 years back, I discovered that. 10, 12 years back, somewhere in 2008, 9, I
Okay.
discovered that it's a banana. So I thought, let's not taste it then. Let's see for how long can I not taste that fruit. And then I came to this point, I think the exact
Huh.
point where I thought, if I have stopped myself from eating this berry or fruit, why not write something about it? So I made a book called The Book of Bananas. And it was thoroughly
Amazing.
researched. And the whole book, I got it embroidered through my
Oh,
karigar.
wow.
Yeah. And
Is
the
there a
best part
photo of
is,
that?
I will have to look for it. Yeah. I will mail you
Okay,
in
this
some
is
time.
DBG Roy. Yeah, please do share. These are like things that you should not miss actually. It's like
Yeah. So basically, a lot of
amazing.
people helped me out with these books also. So basically, I wanted to use a lot of waste fabric to, embroider these books, make
Okay,
pages. I did not want to do it on paper. I wanted to do it on fabric. For obvious
okay.
reasons, we
Huh.
started with fabric and textiles and it carried on. So fabric is something I'm very close to.
Right.
So I wrote to a friend of mine and and I said, he's a big designer, and I said, can you send me a big bag or a box of waste fabrics? I want to do something of it. And
Mm-hmm.
within a week, I received this beautiful box of waste fabric, and that's how I did my book of bananas with that waste fabric. If you can just give me a
Amazing.
minute, I'll show you who sent me this box of fabrics to me. Give me a minute, I'll show you.
Sure. Yeah, sorry.
So here, I have this big box, and if you can read,
Wow. Oh, Tarun. Right.
oh, this big box of waste fabric from Tarun Tahiliani, and so
Amazing.
now you also get inspired in life also when people help you like this.
So, do you have the book in front somewhere around you in the studio which you have anywhere?
Must be some.
Okay,
I'll have to
चलो
find
ठीक है.
for it. If you can give me another minute, I'll let me just look for it.
Yeah, it will be wonderful to see.
Okay, I found some pages which I got embroidered. So maybe I can share it right here on the screen here. So see, these are all
Oh,
embroidered.
amazing. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this is a story which I had written about banana and how a community consumed bananas and they got mutated and they turned into monsters.
Okay.
There are a lot of things which I've explored, techniques to different things. How this is all embroidered
Amazing.
with all this waste fabric from Tarun Tahiliani.
Wow.
Even the text is all embroidered.
So, which technique do you use to embroider these fonts? Like, it's a very regular font which we write also. So, how is it Ari?
Yeah.
Simple.
It's basically I used to write directly onto the fabric, and my karigars were sitting here. I'd call them here, and they used to embroider on it.
Amazing.
So basically, most of the text
This
and most of the
happens
story
when you
out
think you are too bright. This is an injured banana. Okay, you've actually given feelings to the banana, banana that it's injured.
yes, basically, it's sometimes I wrote things stories which were just for me, but using the whole techniques of. So this story is called 2025.
Right. And then you have visualized something which is very futuristic and then
Correct,
gotten
correct.
something onto
So
it.
there are multiple stories like this. So this is just one story, but there's so many
Okay.
of them.
So with these books, then you actually went into Bollywood also. Is that so? Like
Yes, yes, I
costume
did a
design and everything. So just a minute,
I
I'll
did.
stop sharing and then probably later on I'll 1 minute. Yeah, okay.
So,
Yes,
anyways,
now
this
it's
is
more
the
clear.
book of bananas, and then the book of flies, and then the book. So
Amazing.
many books. I kept doing that.
So you have a
So
whole
I'll come.
series of books with, right.
So in 2018, I did a Malayalam film called Who. It's on Amazon Prime. So
Okay.
WHO. It's a suspense thriller. and I've always wanted to work in a film. So my journey started with, of course, costume designing, where I did clothing for Mr. Anil Kapoor in Welcome, and then moved on to doing certain styling in certain films. And then my major project was Saib Bibi and Gangster with Tikmanshu Dhulia,
Mm-hmm.
where I got nominated in the Apsara Awards also as the best costume designer in 2012. So did a cameo in that film also in the second part. So this is something where films also kind of uh,
So while you were talking about costume design and you would be interacting, so what was the process of design when you actually started working with them? How did you go about the design part of it or understanding what they really need and all that?
yes. So it is very interesting. I'll tell you about an incident that I met up with. Uh, I got a call from Mr. Tikmanshu Dhulia, the director, and we met up in Mumbai in a hotel. And he had called me there. He wanted to, tell me about the costumes and the characters and everything. And just there were just three of us the whole night. It was Tikmanshu, Dhulia, me, and Irfan Khan.
Oh,
So
amazing.
yeah, so the three of us spent that whole night listening to the story, and
Hmm.
it was very important for me also to be there and to understand the costumes and everything. So
Okay.
I'll tell you just one example how it is so interesting, to do costume designing. So
Hmm.
Irfan Khan plays a character where he belongs to a royalty. But over the years, he's lost everything. He has nothing. But he still has that attitude of a royalty. He does not
Hmm.
have the money to buy those expensive clothes, but he wants to flaunt his history. So, how will
Hmm.
I design costumes for him? For a character who was a royalty, is not now, but still has that
Front.
attitude of one.
Hmm. Very
Basically,
interesting.
yeah. So his costumes will be elaborate in terms of he'll be wearing band galas and elaborate jackets, but the quality of the fitting, the quality of the fabric won't be an expensive one. In the film, he
Wow.
would have gone to a local tailor to get his clothes stitched,
Hmm.
where the tailor did not do a good job as far as the fitting is concerned. He must have gone to a local shop to buy his fabrics, which were cheap quality fabrics, but he wanted to get a nice bandgala. That should reflect. So when I made that first lot of costumes and I showed it and I had my fittings with Irfan Khan, so Irfan Khan told me, when he was wearing the garments, he said, यार मैं तो इसमें बैंड बाजे वाला लग रहा हूँ. So Tishu sir, Tignanshu told me that that's exactly what we want. That there's a fine difference, a narrow difference in a
Ah,
bandgala which is worn by someone who's from an elite class and a bandgala which is worn by a band baja wala who plays the shehnai in the shadi. Both of them wear a
amazing.
bandgala, but
Right.
then you have to see the
Absolutely.
difference. So this
So
is how
just a
intricate
slight,
it is.
yeah, just a slight twist into the fabric quality and everything, it can actually change the whole look of the whole character, I would say.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the assistants there used to get really angry on me that why are you using such kind of fabric for the film for these actors? These are cheap quality fabrics. I said, but that's what the role demands here. It's not because I
Hmm.
don't want to buy expensive stuff, but I am instead of buying a nice linen and an expensive cotton, Egyptian cotton, I'm buying a terracotta material to make a shirt
Wow.
for Irfan Khan. That's what his character is.
Ah.
The shirt can be elaborate. It can have those epaulets and nice pockets and a nice rounded cut and everything because that's the way it is supposed to be. But the fabric has to be very inferior in quality. Then
Hmm.
that's how
So you really
you
have to
have to
understand what is the requirement of that character and then design
character
the
of
whole
the
thing.
film. That
And
is yeah.
amazing. So with doing all of this, how did you come up with BBG? That is your brand, and you were talking about your journey towards a very different
Yeah,
type of
BBC
brand here
brand.
also.
It
I'll share
BBC
the
brand at
screen and show
India.
the photos also. 1 minute, so that
Yeah,
you can keep talking about it also.
correct, correct.
Yeah, so this is your brand BBG, and I guess it is again inspired by nature and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So basically, if you actually see chiffon, chiffon saris, they were
yeah,
worn by most of the royalties across in the early 70s, and it became a very elegant clothing style for the royalties. And let me just name like
right,
Maharani Devi. You know, uh,
absolutely,
we always used to endorse the chiffons, the purest of chiffons that time. And the
right.
prints that time also in those chiffons were all botanical and large roses and flowers, which is coming back now. Even if you see collections of Sabyasachi's recent rose collections and everything,
Yeah,
again, so it's not something new. It was which was worn that time in the 70s.
right,
So we
right.
wanted to revive that era and do only chiffons. So this BBG Royal started with only chiffon saris by me and Nidhi. And
Okay.
she being a graphic designer and me being into textile and fashion, I think it was a wonderful combination for us. And first we started just making these saris
Yeah,
because we used to get a lot of demand from our own family
okay,
that, you're a designer, you guys are designers, why don't you do
okay.
something for us, this, that. But we were kind of a little tired with just gifting stuff. Yeah. Because people used to say, you guys are
Hmm.
designers, make something for us, make something for them, this, that. And then, we used to just gift it. So we thought, let's
Ah,
make it a brand that it looks a bit serious. So even if it's family, they start paying us. So this is how it started.
absolutely. After all, it's hard work and creativity.
Exactly. So we
So,
used to make a collection,
okay,
just about
amazing.
10 to 15 saris, and then, have
So
that
it
maybe
was
on a page and share it. And this is how it started. And then later we moved on to other products. So BBG Royals has a lot of products today. So we have over 35 to 40 products which we cater to. Not only saris, but
mm-hmm.
yardage, shirts, mufflers, scarves, and a lot of other
Wow,
things with only animal and floral prints, you know,
wow.
and not
So
only
just
chiffons.
with that much. Wow,
Yeah, so and we work only with natural fibers there. So out here,
amazing.
which we are seeing is a Kota Doria, and
Yeah.
so natural fibers like cottons and purest
And then
silks,
this is shirts
crepe,
and shirts,
yeah,
right?
exactly, shirts for men, which is
Yeah.
just animal prints,
Hmm.
and we do a lot of clothing for kids as well, kids wear. So we have little uh,
So,
combination of gift boxes for kids, this that. So we do a lot of things like that also.
so when you're talking about a very small limited edition garments or whatever products you're making, would you actually consider this whole process to be more handcrafted expressions or something? Well, what do
Exactly.
you think about? Because this is
Yes.
digital technology which you're using on one side, but on the other hand, you're actually painting and crafting and making something which is very unique and very limited edition. So,
Yes.
what would you say?
Also for the fact that my Digvijay Singh brand is a far more expensive brand than BBG Royals. Most of our
Okay.
products are handmade, hand done, handcrafted, hand knitted. We do even sweaters to cardigans to blankets to a lot of
Wow.
things which are done through weaving, crochet, embroidery, stuff like that, hand done. But
Mm-hmm.
all products are under the price range of 10,000.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Most of the products are. So basically, it's not about making profit out here. It's all about
Mm-hmm.
doing things which was always a passion and then
Okay.
showcasing it to people and it's mostly customized. So if someone tells us tomorrow, I want a shirt which has leopards also in it and horses also in it, can you do it for us? So we make that and within a week we send it to you. So because this was always an online brand which we
Okay.
started, so thankfully in today's times in the present scenario we still are able to do business because of the fact that we've always sold it online only. In my studio in Ahmedabad, I never kept BG
Okay.
Royals
That's
there.
interesting.
It was always online.
Oh.
So this was, yeah, one
So
thing
your
which
couture is there on the Lakme, the Digvijay Singh brand. That is
correct,
there
correct.
in the Lakme, and that is there as your studio also. But this one
Exactly.
was
So
your
that's where
online
I
business.
do a lot of bridal. I do a lot of menswear where I do sherwanis and bangalas and breeches and jodhpuris.
Yeah.
At the same time,
Amazing.
lehengas for women and dresses and everything, which
Mm-hmm.
is more bespoke, which is more customized, and this is something which is again customized but feather potter. So which is
Okay.
something which like more or less like an everyday wear or
Yeah, and
customize
you
it.
can reach you can reach more to the masses.
Correct, correct. It can go more. The clientele increases by seeing we do a lot of
Yeah, amazing. So, Digvijay, after this, I would also like us to talk about another endeavor of yours, which was cooking as a passion, as you are
yeah,
as
yeah.
a very passionate person. So, how did that come into this whole textile business, brand, art, design? How did cooking come into this whole the
I think
process?
recently after 2014 and 15, I told myself that there has to be something. All my hobbies have to slowly become my passion. Yeah. So every year I have introduced one or two and converted them into something which is very personal. But at the same time, uh, they should have a little flavor of my art, of my design, and everything. And food is something which I was always into from the very beginning. I still remember at the age
Hmm.
8, 9 or something, I started cooking with my mother.
Wow,
And
that is another form of creativity which you
cooking.
explored.
So, and over the years, because I also got married into a family here where the expertise in Kumaoni cuisine, and with I think through my mother-in-law, I've learned so much over the years about Kumaoni cuisine
Amazing.
that I want to start reviving it in one way because this is something which no one actually does now. Here Kumaoni cuisine.
Wow.
It's yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I thought let's
I
try
would
doing a
love to
lot of
taste
these
one
things.
day.
It's something which is so different. Means, yeah, what you
Wow.
saw right now, the previous picture is these are
Yeah, this
things which
one.
are found in the forest, and the Command cuisine is all about
Oh,
that, which make in a very
amazing.
local way. So this is like all the Command cuisine
These,
is either cooked in an iron wok, loha or kasa, So
okay,
it's
okay.
cooked on chula, slow flame, and these are the greens which are found in the jungles. This is called fiddle fern, or
The
in
ferns I can
language
see
called
over
lingula.
here, right?
And
Okay,
exactly, so it's a variety of fern which is found only in the rainy season during the monsoons this time.
okay.
And yeah, so I don't experiment too much with Kumaoni food, where a lot of people keep experimenting, it twists and turns.
Hmm.
I like to do it the authentic way, the way it used to be, you know.
Wow.
So I don't want to
Yeah,
twist
because
and
you're
turn
reviving it
recipes.
also. Amazing.
Exactly.
So,
So do it in the very authentic way. It's made in the particular kind of a vessel, made in a particular kind of an oil. The ingredients, not even one ingredient should be missing there. Everything should be there. You know. So that is
amazing.
very important. If you talk about getting back to the roots, then
And
do
this
it
is
in the
also
right
a
way. Yeah?
process. There's a process of cooking, so it is like first this will be cooked and then later on that much. So I think you would be following the whole process of developing the
Yes,
taste
yes. Of course.
of the authenticity, authentic food.
Simplicity is
Yeah,
very important as far as this is concerned. Yeah.
amazing. So from here, then you actually started working towards, uh, you know,
Yeah, so
this
people
Amol
started
campaign and
writing me also. I did a couple of sessions with Amul where cooking sessions where it was all about experimentations. They asked me to do your own experimentation recipes. So this is something
okay,
somewhere where I was having fun. I was,
amazing.
yeah, so I was doing, yeah.
And now I think you also have a resort at near your home in Pangot, and you are exploring
So
there
what
also.
is a place where my father runs a place here? So that's where we are right now. I was talking
Okay.
about this place, and I'm happy to be here. It's we have beautiful cottages in the middle of the jungle, and
Wow.
so I'm looking.
So yes, so we can anytime come and visit you to taste
You're most
delicious
welcome. Eh?
food.
I'll be a wonderful host.
Amazing. Yes, I know you have always been a good host. So yes, I will come back to you. So this is an amazing thing, Digvijay. I mean, from a school artist to being an artist as a mature artist to exploring garments being a very famous Digvijay Singh label, which I think was much more appreciated in menswear also. I think one of the few brands which actually catered to the best menswear garments. Then coming to BBG Royals, and then now to becoming a chef. It's an amazing journey. And what do you
Yeah, but
think ahead right now?
one thing very important which you missed out upon
Yeah,
is the
sorry.
whole, yeah, the whole concept of Dilda White. What exactly is Dilda
Oh,
White?
yes, of course. We wanted to talk. Quickly, we'll
Yeah, I
go
want
about that also.
that's the most important thing for me, which started in 2015, the anti-art and anti-fashion movement. So basically, I started doing art performances, fashion performances, and food performances, theatrical performances.
Wow.
So yeah, so basically they are on YouTube. If you go to Dilda White and the Water Mountain, Dilda White
Hmm.
and the First Supper, Dilda White and the Kumauni. So basically these are certain performances which I did. They were rather arty performances. So Dilda White,
Wow.
I would say it's like an alter ego. So Dilda White is something where I wear a mask and I become Dilda White. So wherever Dilda White is, you can't see
Okay.
the face; it's only the mask.
Oh,
Yeah, so when I talk about fashion performances, my first fashion performance was in Goa at IBFW,
wow.
India Beach, where I went there as Dilda White. No one saw my face for almost 5 days. I was wearing a mask,
Wow.
and the ramp show was a theatrical performance where the choreography happened
Amazing.
spontaneously. I just whispered in the ears of the models before they were just about to enter the ramp, and that's how spontaneous it was. So
Wow.
these are the kind of performances I did. So I did a couple of them with food also. When I talk about food, it was more of a food experience where people are blindfolded and you spray certain things in the air and then you have to guess. If you guess it right, you get to eat what you have guessed. So certain experiences like that as well. And
Wow.
the performances were purely art performances where the first supper was about Christ and the 12 apostles of Christ. And for me, the 12 apostles were the slum kids, and I made food and I spent about a week with them and I cooked for them. And then I
Wow.
showcased, it was one day when I showcased everything, a good layout. And again, these are the kind of performances I do with Dilda White. And
Amazing.
some crazy performances. One was Dilda White and the Fashion Faux Pas, where I made the most beautiful gowns, but they were destroyed on the ramp. So I had buckets and buckets of paint, which I threw onto the beautiful white gowns which I made, and I made them colorful.
Amazing. Yeah, if you believe in something, why not? You should prove it, of course.
Yeah.
I
So
totally
that's why I
agree.
said there are certain things in the society which are a taboo, but
Hmm.
I really want to do that as well. But I hopefully I get a chance to do that as well. But yeah, these are the certain things which Dilda White allows me to do when I step into another personality and alter ego of mine. you know, Digvijay Singh,
Yes.
I can't do. I am people know me, this guy makes sherwanis and jodhpuris. Suddenly, I'm doing wearing a mask and throwing paint on them is not ethical.
Obviously, even if I would have been there, I don't know what I would have done. But yes, of course, I can expect anything from you, and it is amazing to explore life in such a passionate manner. So, one last question because the time is already tick-tocking, but it is so interesting to talk to you. Uh, in these COVID times, which we are facing today, and which is a very common question with everyone, we are online, virtually meeting each other, but not really meeting each other. So, how do you think we can actually, as an inspiration, how can you inspire us also to become much more creative in these times, in today's times? And what would you think the new generation would come up? What
I
should they
think
come up with?
forget about, see, we can't forget about what is happening in the outside world. We have to be concerned, definitely.
Yeah,
We have to be careful. We have to play a part of a citizen who understands these things, an educated citizen. But at the
yeah,
same time, being a creative person, I would definitely like to tell all the creative people out here that this is one time where you get to sit and you get to just sit. So when you just get to sit, a creative person gets a chance to sit. You don't need anything else. your brain does the job for you. Come up
True.
with theories, come up with concepts, come up with new aspects in life, what you can do, and don't wait for anything. I think this is the time when you can do things which you thought weren't possible, or were hiding somewhere behind your brain. Get them out, do it. If you think by the end of the month you want to write a book, do it. You want to paint a large canvas, which is a 15, 20-foot canvas, paint it. No one is stopping you. You have all the time. You want to
Yeah,
write
what is
poetry, do it.
stopping you? True.
No one is stopping you. You can do it, yeah.
Amazing. I agree. I think I should
Make the
also
best
start
out of
doing
these
something
times.
which I wanted to do.
Make the best out of these times. This time won't come back. Yeah.
And we are always thinking about excuses. Oh my God, this has happened and that has happened. That's
Thank
really
God
bad,
you're not
actually.
going out for parties, you're not going out to restaurants for dinners, this, that. Experiment with food, make your own stuff. Do a lot of things here. Come on, this is the time when you have time to spend with yourself. How much time do you get to spend with yourself? Make the best out of it here.
Amazing. I totally agree. And I think that is what we all need and require to actually utilize each and every minute. What you actually said initially, to live today, what is there present with us, and to continue. I think this is something which is for the future generations also, I feel. So, yes, I think this was an amazing journey and a very inspiring journey for all of us. And so I hope to see you and meet you with new exciting things every time when we meet. And so, on behalf of IICD, I think we can end the session now. On behalf of IICD, I would like to thank you to be a part of our Varta and inspire us in such an amazing manner that really opens up our mind to a
Pleasure,
different
pleasure.
dimension of life. I would say that we can just explore life to its fullest, and it's amazing. I think I should also have this type of a studio at my home. I feel that now, so that I can actually explore my inner self. So yes, thank you so much of being a part of this community, and we have a lot of people here thanking you, and hope to see you soon. And please share a lot of new work which you are sharing already, but something new which you're doing.
I will definitely, yes, thank you so much. I will definitely share. And let me tell you, everyone has one studio at their own place, which is called the bathroom. That's the best studio. That's the place where exciting things happen in your head. So make use of your studio here, please.
I totally agree. We should have that in a much more colorful and exciting manner, or probably just still the colors all around our lives, in our lives. Yes, amazing. Thank you so much. And would anybody would like to share something over here who are there present? Would anybody like to speak? Anything would you like to ask from Digvijay, who's here present with us?
Yes, Anuja.
Thank you,
Uh,
ma'am.
Hello, Mr. Digvijay Singh. It was a pleasure for all of us to listen
Thank
to
you.
you, and a pleasure and an honor, because it was so much fun listening to the way you do your work. I mean, it's more fun than work. So I think that's the way people should take it. So
Yeah,
thanks a
that's what
lot for
work for
sparing
me.
it.
Yeah, it's
And
work.
it's a lot of fun.
Work is fun. Fun
Yeah,
is work.
lovely. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Very
Thank you.
interesting.
Thank
Thanks. I would like to thank you, Anuja, for bringing him aboard, for bringing him here for this interesting Varta. So thanks to you, and thanks to Digvijay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
thank
so much.
you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Life and art. Yes. I think we have all been inspired so much. Okay, then we'll end the session now. Thank you so much, and hope to see you soon. Thank
Catch you
you.
soon. Thank you, Anuja. Yeah.
Thank you.